Hello. Federal transportation infrastructure spending is wastefully dedicated to special interest projects, almost always involving new highway or bridge construction. Such spending is not an investment in America's future. The United States federal government can substantially increase the quality of its transportation infrastructure investment by using the federal highway funds to highway maintenance projects. Contention 1. Harms. The neglect of highway maintenance in America is significantly harmful. Subpoint A. Highways built with federal funds have fallen into significant disrepair. Matthew Kahn, he's a professor of public affairs at UCLA, February 2011. Unfortunately, we fail to realize the full benefit of our system of infrastructure and risk losing what we have because we are not investing enough to maintain aging bridges and highways, and because we do not use the system as efficiently as we could. The existing transportation network represents long-lived capital. Highways, bridges, and tunnels last for decades. Moreover, much of our existing highway network was built many years ago. For example, the average age of a bridge on the United States interstate highway system is more than 45 years old. Most bridges were designed for a lifespan of 40 to 50 years. Over time, infrastructure deteriorates. Most of the time this deterioration is unheeded, but disasters remind us of the importance of updating aging infrastructure. The fatal collapse of the I-35 westbound Mississippi River Bridge in Minneapolis brought needed attention to the question of the state of repair of America's bridges. Roads have similar, though not nearly as dramatic, issues. Poor roads impose wear and tear costs on vehicles, can lead to accidents, and require further costs and packaging to avoid damaged freight. Subpoint B. Maintenance neglect costs U.S. taxpayers, their pocketbooks, and their lives. Jim Hightower, a journalist, 2009. Road and bridge conditions all across the country aren't just a mess, they're deadly. ASCE reports that bad and congested roads are a hidden tax that runs us $54 billion a year in car and truck repairs and excess operating costs, forcing us to spend an average of 47 hours a year stuck in traffic, burning 2.3 billion gallons of gasoline in our idling vehicles, and, worst of all, causes some 13,000 highway deaths each year. Bridges, too, are a threat. ASCE finds that 27% of America's spans are now structurally deficient or functionally obsolete, requiring $9.4 billion every year for the next 20 years to repair the deficiencies. Contention 2. Inherency. Maintenance neglect is the predictable result of flaws in the federal highway programs. Subpoint A. Earmarks distort federal highway trust fund allocations. Travis Madsen, he's an analyst, 2010. Congressional earmarks, in which members of Congress bypass the administrative process by allocating merit-based funding and instead designate funding for specific projects, further tilt spending away from the system preservation and maintenance. In the last Transportation Authorization Bill, there were almost 6,000 earmarks, totaling more than $13 billion. The most notorious of these earmarks designated $223 million for the bridge to nowhere between Ketchikan and Gravina Island in Alaska, which was raised as a major issue in congressional campaigns in 2006 and 2008, and also in the 2008 presidential race. The primary beneficiaries of the project would have been 7,000 residents of the island and the contractors put to work on the project. The bridge to nowhere was never built. However, this earmark and others carved out $100 million annually from the Highway Bridge Program for new bridge construction, a use of funds that normally would not be allowed. Subpoint B. Lobbyists are active in the promotion of new highway construction at the expense of maintenance. Mason, 2010. Highway interests often push for new capacity projects which can benefit new residential or commercial developments, as in the case of Concord Associates. Additionally, new capacity projects or major reconstruction projects often involve states issuing lucrative contracts to construction firms. In contrast, ongoing maintenance measures have little political constituency. Many state DOTs use state employees to perform their ongoing maintenance. New capacity projects have a well-financed and powerful lobby with a large profit motive pushing for them, while repair projects do not. If politics is allowed to large influence over spending decisions, it is no surprise that repair and maintenance projects will lose out. Therefore, we offer the following plan. Plan Plank 1. The United States federal government will substantially increase its transportation infrastructure investment by designating 70% of highway federal trust fund spending for highway maintenance projects. Number 2. This 70% requirement will leave unchanged the 10% of the federal highway funds now designated for transportation enhancements and the 20% now designated for the mass transit account. Plan Plank 3. The plan will be administered by a quasi-independent National Infrastructure Commission charged with dispersing federal funds, enforcing state and local maintenance of effort requirements, and ensuring that federal funds are utilized entirely for maintenance projects. Contention 3. Solvency. A fix-it-first approach will substantially increase the quality of transportation infrastructure investment in the United States. Subpoint A. The fix-it-first investment strategy best allocates federal highway expenditures. Matthew Kahn, he's Professor of Public Affairs, UCLA, February 2011. To shift the investment focus to fix-it-first, we would restrict the use of Federal Highway Trust Fund from adding capacity to the existing system. Instead, the funds primarily would be dedicated to maintain, repair, rehabilitate, reconstruct, replace, and enhance existing transportation infrastructure. Reserving the Federal Highway Trust Fund for system preservation and enhancement would mean a boost in federal highway investment for these purposes of close to $12 billion per year. Combined with any additional revenues that states raise from increasing their gas taxes, these funds would put us on the right path toward repairing our nation's aging infrastructure. Subpoint B. The National Infrastructure Commission would depoliticize transportation infrastructure investment. Barry LePay, he's an attorney in New York, 2010. To oversee a national transportation energy strategy, or not energy strategy, but a national transportation strategy, sorry about that, we need a National Infrastructure Commission. This new group should include our most experienced transportation experts, finance experts, engineers, and scientists, who would be asked to define the nation's needs during the 21st century from a host of perspectives. It would propose ways to restore the most vulnerable 50% of our infrastructure. It would identify the latest in structural analysis and methods to determine if a bridge, tunnel, or highway is defective. It would assign qualified engineers and contractors to develop a full remediation and an ongoing maintenance program, determine the actual cost needed to repair each structure, and ensure that qualified contractors with successful track records for on-time performance perform all work under true fixed-price contracts. Subpoint C. The fix-it-first approach offers a prudent approach to transportation infrastructure investment. Jonathan Miller, he's an analyst with the Urban Land Institute, 2009. Fix-it-first should trump building new, especially since the government has not determined a long-term framework for planning national networks or funding them. Quote, the last thing we should do is build new when what we have is falling into ruin. You could spend all allocated dollars just on repairing